So the anti-coup protests in Myanmar show no signs of stopping, even though activists say dozens of demonstrators were killed by security forces yesterday. That is just one of the international stories that Debora Patta is following for us from Johannesburg this morning. Debora, what's going on? What can you tell us?
Good morning, Anne-Marie. Well, the latest killing of protesters in Myanmar has been described as one of the bloodiest days yet since the military coup in February. Now, security forces opened fire in the country's largest city, Yangon, with protesters using sticks and knives. The military declared martial law in the area after Chinese businesses were attacked. Protesters believe China is giving support to the military, but it's unclear who was behind the attacks. Military rulers have detained Aung San Suu Kyi, the country's civilian leader and head of the National League for Democracy party, which won a landslide in last year's election. Some of the ousted MPs have refused to accept the coup and have gone into hiding, with their leaders urging protesters to defend themselves against the military crackdown. Over to the Netherlands, which has added its name to the growing list of countries that have suspended the use of the oxford-astrazeneca coronavirus vaccine over concerns about possible side effects. The Dutch government said the move was a precaution. Ireland made a similar decision over reports of blood clotting occurring in adults in Norway, but the World Health Organization says there is no link between the vaccine and an increased risk of developing a clot. And the European Medicines Agency says the vaccine's benefit continues to outweigh its risk. Despite this, Denmark, Norway, Bulgaria, Iceland and Thailand have already halted their use of the AstraZeneca vaccine. We're in the UK next, where women's rights activists are reeling from the Metropolitan Police's heavy-handed approach at a Saturday night vigil for 33-year-old Sarah Everard, who was murdered while walking home in South London. A serving member of that same police force is accused of the murder. Morders flocked to Clapham Common, where Everard was last seen. By nightfall, it had turned into a vigil, at which point a group of mostly male officers moved in, insisting they were breaching COVID-19 regulations. They forcibly removed women and dropped others face down on the ground in arrest, with mourners chanting, "Shame on you," and "Arrest your own." The Met Police say they did not want to be in a position where enforcement was necessary, but needed to protect people's safety. And finally, the Chinese capital of Beijing was shrouded in thick brown dust today due to strong winds blowing from the Gobi Desert in what the Weather Bureau has described as the biggest sandstorm in a decade. Heavy sandstorms also hit neighboring Mongolia, with at least 341 people reported missing. Now, that sandstorm was so bad that the tops of tower blocks in central Beijing were barely visible, and commuters had to cover their faces and hair, with one saying it looked like the end of the world. Anne-Marie?
Wow, it's remarkable. Debora, thank you so much.